now I am going to ask Veronica to give her message to the world.
All of you are having your individual experiences. We talk to many that find the blockages in their path on a daily basis, sometimes even more than that on an hourly basis. And they ask us, why? Why is it so hard? Why, is this popped up to cause me difficulty? And many become very discouraged in that moment and spiral into despair and find themselves sort of landlocked in their evolutionary process. We would say that blockages and delays can often be beneficial if one looks at them properly. Decide that through inconvenience and discomfort, that growth is promoted. Sometimes you have to do something to get your attention, and if you allow yourself to get all caught up in the negative moment, then you can continue to create it. But if you look at it as an opportunity to say, okay, a moment for me to stop and pay attention, then you release that negative moment and you don't keep creating it over and over, and you move into a more prosperous moment much easier. Appreciating that and knowing that is often a good way for those of you who are involved in a continual line of negativity to decide to say, I'm going to look at this as a lesson and I'm going to release it so that I can move forward in a more positive manner. We think all of you need to think about that every day, because we think every one of you has had a moment where you've spiraled into negative, and found yourself in a huge mess that you've had to pull yourself up by the bootstraps to get out of. Why not decide that with something, difficult happens, find the lesson in it. Find out what caused this to happen so that you can glean the lesson and move on already. Because if you don't do that, then that negativity can continue to spiral, continue to grow, continue to create an atmosphere of hardship until you can't get past it. So any time something comes up, don't look at it as, oh, poor me, this happened to me and I'm a victim for it. You look at it and say, okay, this happened. Why did it happen? And how can I resolve it without allowing myself to slide down the hill of despair and create an atmosphere that is productive for my energy? We know we will be accused of, oh, Veronica, you don't even know what it's like to be in physical linear. And we say, yes, we do. We've had our linear lives, and we understand the difficulties and the harshness of it. But by finding the lesson in the moment, whether it's positive or negative, is the only way to get through it with any clarity. So decide now that if something negative pops up, you're going to take a good look at it, and you're going to determine what needs to be done to resolve it. That's really the only way to get through the life.
Thank you, Veronica. And the next word I had on my list is birth.
Well, oftentimes the word birth is used for the entrance into physical life, but it can also be used as the entrance to your ethereal life. Birth is not just a physical linear term, although that's what it conjures up in your head when you think about it. But you can also be birthed into a spiritual reality, while still physical, that can have great effect and great impact upon you as a human being and as a soul.
Okay, Veronica, as a follow-up, you've had many lives, physical lives, and as you stated, a lot of beings don't incarnate at all. Some incarnate once or twice and hate it and don't do it again. But you've done it many times, which means you've had many physical births. The question is, why would you go through that?
The denseness of the linear reality offers a very vivid experience process. we also would say that it's much easier to leave the reality than it is to get in it, because you're an expansive energy and you decide, okay, I'm going to incarnate in physical form. And no matter how many times you've done it, it's always a bit disconcerting when you make that leap into a physical form, and there you are as a small, innocent child who doesn't have a lot of abilities, and you have to wait to develop them. It can be a bit frustrating because it's not something that happens immediately. It is a gradual process. And yes, we have incarnated many times. We are finished with that cycle. But each time we incarnated, we would say that the most difficult thing to move through was the fact that we remembered exactly who we were, why we were there, and we are in this tiny form that is helpless and dependent upon the two parents that we chose to come into the life with. So it sets up a dynamic right from the beginning of how you're going to make choices and how you're going to do things in a life. And as a young child, you have much time to contemplate how you're going to do that. And any of you who've had children, we think you all can remember looking into the eyes of a newborn babe and seeing a lot of depth there, seeing a lot of wisdom there. Adage in the culture is, oh, it's an old soul. And we say, ooh, most likely it is. But it starts out in a physical form that doesn't support that at first. So we'd say being in the reality is quite an experience. We enjoyed the process each time. Some of the times it went well, sometimes it didn't. But eventually you will evolve out of it and will not have to return to it if you don't want to.
Abundance.
Abundance. It is a very popular concept and word. And many of you in physical reality equate that with having money or with having a lot of stuff, with having a lot of things. And we'd say, all right, in physical reality we can see where one would focus on that, and we can remember focusing on that a bit ourselves. But true abundance is being comfortable in your own skin, being comfortable with the reality around you and recognizing the good around you and not just the things that aren't good. We'd say an abundant person, remember the story about the shoes that we told a few episodes ago? It's pretty much similar to that. Abundance is defined by how you feel about things. And sometimes it isn't money. Sometimes it isn't things. Sometimes it's the energy exchange with someone who truly gets you, or the energy exchange with nature as you watch a flower blossom, or watch two squirrels have a political argument over an acorn. Those are the abundant moments. Those are the moments that expand your awareness and give you the opportunity to truly live. Now, we're not poo-pooing having money. We're not poo-pooing having things. They're all part of the human experience. But it is also very important to recognize the small things that are sort of the cornerstone for true abundance.
So, Veronica, could you put a little meat on the bones? Don't look behind you for what you want in front of you.
Being in physical life means you're involved in a timeline. And we have talked to many who want certain things. They want an event to transpire. They want to bring someone into their life. They want to acquire something. They want to be something. And if you get all caught up in the past, it's usually debilitating in your present. And if you're not completely focused in your present, it's impossible to create a future. So you have to decide that no matter what's going on in the past, you can certainly remember it, but you can't let it consume you. You have to make all of your creations based upon who you are right now, not who you were 2 years ago or even last week. Only artist drawing that you have. It's the only palette you have. It's the only canvas you have. And many people that we talk to are tied up in the past moments, or this happened and that's why I'm this way, or that person did that to me before and now that's why I'm this way. A lot of that stuff in the past, it's there, it will remain there, but you can't stay anchored in it, and you can't create from it. So if you're truly trying to create a reality for yourself, it's really important to take a look at the things you might be hovering in that are from past moments and decide that you're going to be very present. Doesn't mean you forget them. It just means you don't focus from there and you don't create from there, because the canvas is now. The future is going to be created from the canvas you got right now. If you create it from a past canvas, you're going to get more of what the past was. And we know all of you have had moments where you just want to create something new, exciting, and something fresh. The way to do that is to be very present and project forward. Leave the past where it is in the past. If you drag it along behind you like a suitcase, it will become burdensome.